All right, everyone. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jason Levine, and thank you so much for joining me on the Friday Masterclass here on Adobe Live and YouTube. Goodbye, Periscope. It was a good run while you were around. It occurred to me today, no streaming to Periscope today. In any case, today we are talking about transitions and how you use them in your edits, and really just an opportunity to cover all the various types of native transitions in Premiere. I'm sure most of you are familiar with them, but of course, our very broad audience may not be as familiar. Most of you are probably familiar with things like cross dissolves, maybe. The truth is, in a lot of the videos that you watch today, particularly in places like YouTube, some of the classic transition types that we used to use, we don't really use anymore. There used to be a faux pas to have things like jump cuts, which I'll show you in a moment if you don't know what those are. But these days, that's kind of the way that you kind of just keep things moving and keep people engaged. So we're going to cover a lot of those and a lot of the other sort of classic ones that you can use for, again, kind of to bring a little bit of excitement and engagement rather than just trying to smooth, rough cuts, going from cut A to cut B. Also going to talk about some graphical elements that you can use as transitions, things like light leaks, as well as some of the motion graphics templates, i.e. MOGRTs, that we have in Adobe stock, and tons of free ones as well. These are wonderful because, again, it's just a completely graphical way to transition from one scene to another, one shot to another. It's totally different than trying to smooth things over or blending light, and it provides kind of just a different feel altogether. And then we'll end today's session showing one of the transition packs that I use from a third-party company called Vamify. Not sponsored, not anything. I just happen to like them. There are many of these providers out there. These are ones that I acquired a while ago, and they're just sort of cool and modern and timely. And if you're looking for something a little bit different, you can find them there and elsewhere as well. So as always, a couple of quick shout outs before we get started. I can see here we've got Fayin and Mayen, Wade, Ferry, Jan Eric, Stony Braswell, Z by HP, nice to see you, Steve and Reverb Mike, Froja and Golden Rose, great to see you all. And Mochi Pod, what's up? And let's see who else we got over here. Aditya Singh and Ahmed and Shlomi and TR Bolin. Rustuff, looks good. The studio space is getting sexier every day. Thank you very much. And Icare as well. Okay, very nice to see you all. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get started here. And I'm going to transition over to Premiere Pro. All right, so let's do it. Bzz. All right. What's up, Brian Babbage? How are you doing, man? My good friend from the desert, which, by the way, it has gotten increasingly warm. We completely skipped spring here in Arizona. It went from kind of a pretty cold, January, February, winter to it's summer. It's hot. We're approaching, I think we crossed 100 degrees Fahrenheit someday last week. It's been in the 90s most of this week. I am already in shorts and will not see pants again until probably October. Anyway, so let's talk about some classic transitions. Okay, so actually what you're looking at right here, this is a cut of a video that'll release Sunday. Got a couple of videos coming out Sunday. I'm trying some different days. A couple of videos coming out next Tuesday. These are around the new captions feature in Premiere Pro, and these are real deep dives into the feature. And I'm on the very first frame of this video. So I'm pulling this up because one of the most classically used transitions is something called the cross dissolve. I have a good friend, Carrie Michelle O'Brien, who used to say, they've been in the editing industry for years. And they used to say, and it's a standard phrase, like, if you can't resolve it, dissolve it, all right? But another good use for cross dissolve is just to really fade up from black. So you don't often start videos just right on the frame like this. This happens to be a fairly decent still frame. If you've watched me before, I always talk about as I scrub through myself, still, you always get these, right? Like half closed eyes, blurry, whatever. Sometimes that first frame is nice. Generally, you want to kind of fade up from black. Also, it just gives a sort of transition from when someone hits play, gives them a second to kind of get into the video. Sometimes it can be a little jarring just seeing content right away. It feels more like a commercial. So the way that we add those is simply by clicking and dragging. So I can take the cross dissolve, drag it over the front end of the video. It'll go black like this. And if we zoom in here, I'm going to adjust the track height a little. You can see the cross dissolve represented on the clip right here. And as I hover my cursor over it, you can see that this is how you can adjust the duration of the cross dissolve. The default duration is, it looks like it's 1 second here, based on your frame rate, of course. So the default is 1 second. That's generally pretty long. In fact, what I'll usually do is I'll look at the audio, and because I start talking about here, that's about as long as I want to make that cross dissolve, right? I don't want to still be fading up from black while I'm already talking. So we can just shrink that down like that, go back out, wind back, hit play. Hello everyone, for today's video, all right, very simple, really easy. Hello everyone, and by the way, this was it at 1 second. So here, take a look at that. Hello everyone, for today's video, it's not so bad. I mean, again, it's pretty much already into full, almost full light at that point. But for me, just kind of a quick fade up is nice. If you're going for something really dramatic, you know, I've got some videos, I showed them here on the stream before, shot in Africa, morning sunrise. You can do a really elongated fade up from black. That's sometimes very nice, right? Something like this is an intro. By the way, there's those still frames again. They're just never good. Something like this, you want it kind of short and sweet to get right into it, okay? Hello everyone, for cross dissolve. Okay, so now that again is kind of just a standard way to do that. And of course you can apply that to the end as well. So if I go to the end of this, I think I've already got one on here. Oh, and this is the in progress version of this edit. Let's see. See if I've got something at the end of here. Yeah, there we go. See you next time. All right, so same thing on here. Transitioning out, right? So we fade to black at the end each week. We'll see you next time. Fades to black. And then another little thing that I'll often do, because you may notice occasionally, you often can see this in like the QuickTime player. This one actually seems to be really good here. Sometimes your last frame, it'll be like 99% black, but there's still like 1% opacity on the underlying video for whatever reason. To ensure that that is not the case, that it fades completely to black, I will often add just black at the end of the video, which by the way, if you've never done that, up at the top at the file menu here, file, new, black video, and that is just that. It's just solid black video that you can transition to. So that's just nice. And I usually do about 7 to 10 frames, you know, a third of a second if it's a 30 FPS or 24, whatever, just to ensure that it goes completely to black. It also gives a second before, like in the case of YouTube, if you don't have autoplay on, it's not such an abrupt stop. It kind of goes black, and then you'll see your recommended videos. So just a classic little thing that I always do. But dip to black can be used for that as well. That actually has a slightly smoother, a more linear light style of fade out to black as opposed to the cross dissolve. And this brings up one of the other dissolves in here that we're going to talk about. Now, there's quite a few in here. And let me go ahead and we're going to go into a couple of different video examples here. Okay, so here's some footage, Arizona, San Francisco. And we want to transition between these. Now remember, often you're transitioning, you know, to like smooth between two pieces of footage. So if you look over under video transitions in your effects, you're going to see 3D motion here. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to cover these today. I'm not a fan of these. I don't know who those are for. If you like them, good. I'm not a fan. There are a lot that are a little cringy because they've been around forever and they're just sort of classic and they've been in every video editor NLE since the beginning of time. It doesn't mean that they're pleasant, but kind of in the spirit of what Paul was just doing, if you're creating like retro style video or you're going for kind of a retro cut, some of those page peeled slide in from left kind of transitions might actually do the trick and look really great and make it even more kind of classically authentic. Now there's a couple here that I get questions about all the time. First one is Additive Dissolve. Now this is one that I really generally never use. Essentially what this does is it pulls color. So we've got two clips here. It's going to pull color information from the B clip over to the A clip during the transition. And then it'll subtract the color from the A clip to the B transition based on that duration, how much of the transition you have before and after. So let's go ahead and take this Additive Dissolve just to kind of show you what this looks like, all right? And if we play between our Arizona skies and San Francisco skies here, you're seeing that you just get this enormous sort of blown out white sky because it's borrowing that same information from the San Francisco clip as well as the Arizona clip and adding those colors. You know, you can do this same kind of thing with blend modes. I just don't particularly like the look of this. Even if we shorten it up, it kind of starts looking like a flash transition. Now, I purposely chose things with sky and clouds so that it feels a little more even. But this one, I almost never use. And I can almost guarantee, I closed my Lumetri scopes here. But if you're trying to be kind of within legal limits of color and light, I mean, it's not uncommon with an additive dissolve. Again, especially if things aren't graded properly, you're just gonna blow out those highlights completely. I mean, this is blown out. This is pure white. There's no data in there anymore, period. So this isn't a fave of mine, but for effect, it can be kind of cool, kind of useful at times. Now, one that I like to use if I'm transitioning between landscapes and scenery like this, again, to create kind of a more dramatic analog style effect, is the film dissolve, okay? Now, this one uses linear color. This mimics the way that dissolves look like on film. And the difference between it and the cross dissolve in real basic terms, it just looks more natural. It dissolves kind of like you'd expect it to dissolve. The light seems to just work a lot more efficiently. It feels very analog, and there's something really pleasant about it. So if we check out this film dissolve, yeah, if you just look at the content underneath, the way that it just sort of disappears, those Arizona trees, there's just something really beautiful about the way that looks. All right. Now, if we take this, let's go ahead and grab the cross dissolve here, do the same thing. I mean, it's not too different, but yeah, there is though. There's just some fundamental difference, right? Particularly in the highlights, that this one just looks a little bit less smooth. Now, also, by the way, my camera motion, that's handheld, not stabilized. So that's not helping sell this cross dissolve either. But the film dissolve is just really, really nice. And oftentimes, by the way, you may need to render this one depending upon, now this happens to be 4K content. Let me see if I try and play this back at full. Let's go to full screen here for a second. Okay, it says I'm not dropping any frames. That could just be, again, my crappy hand movement here. But, you know, if you kind of stop in between these, right, there's just something very organic and analog and beautiful about this. And this again, you could achieve this just by overlaying 2 video clips and using a blend mode as well and adjusting opacity. This just kind of does it for me though. So when I'm transitioning between scenery and things like this, again, if you're trying to slow that motion down and create some real beauty, I love film dissolve for that, okay? Oh, and Ferry's saying additive is great for waking up from a dream scene. Exactly, because, right, you're kind of creating this white flash, this kind of very intense wake-up vibe. Now, you can also do that with dip to white, which we're going to get to in a minute. Now, Morph Cut. All right, I guess we can talk about this one. So Morph Cut, let me do this first. Let's we're going to go into Morph Cut, but we're also going to go into dip to white. But this actually will make perfect sense. So here is some content from my youngest, and as I've mentioned on stream before, at the beginning of the pandemic, he wanted to record YouTube videos, and I said, fine, you can do them as long as you edit them in Rush. This one, if I just take a look here, yeah, you can see that this came from Rush because it has all these extra audio tracks and things. I deleted a whole bunch of them, and then we re-edited it in Premiere. But when he did this first edit, he was still pretty new to it. So it was all just straight cuts. So let me go ahead and wind this back a little bit and take a quick look.
The video, and today we are back playing the one and only best game ever. You know what it is, okay? Everyone knows what it is by, well, probably guess by the title of the video. We are back playing.
I thought there was another cut there. Here we go.
Only Fortnite. Yeah, you guys guess. We're playing Fortnite.
Okay. Now, he's also a little out of focus, so we wound up redoing this one. But he hadn't done any transitions because he didn't know how to add them yet. Now, the thing is, in this style, this is what jump cutting is. So He was just finding all the best parts of his talking and eliminating any pauses or mess ups, and it's just transitioning. So there's no smoothness. If his head was over here for part of the shot and it's over here for the next sentence, that's what you see. That's a jump cut. That is absolutely legit now. Now, when I started 100 years ago, you'd get fired for doing something like that. Anybody who's been editing for 20 plus years or more will remember that jump cuts were faux pas. And if anything, you would overlay something on top of it, some B-roll. It could just be random footage in the background to avoid that jump cut. It's so funny how things change, right? But hey, the times they are changing and have been for more than a decade already. Jump cuts are legit. If you don't want the jump cut, specifically for interviews and on-camera stuff, this is where you can use Morph Cut. And Morph Cut uses an algorithm that attempts to, I believe via pixel motion, although I'm forgetting because I haven't used it in forever. It just kind of creates pixels so that it smooths your head being over here to here without that harsh jump like you see here.
And today we are back. Today we are back. Today we are back.
I mean, his head's not even that far.
The one and only.
That one's different because it's a zoom.
Best game ever. You know what it is. Best game ever. You know what it is.
Okay. So like in the case of this, it's not a huge jump, but his head still is moving. So let's see how Morph Cut does. Now this, again, you generally have to render this. It is going to do an analysis, okay, which takes a moment. Reverb mic, the B-roll cut style still looks better. You know, I've grown to, I'm trying to think of a word that's not appreciate and not love. I can tolerate jump cuts are okay with me now. I really used to not like them. I'm okay with it. And I think for a lot of videos, again, if it's like quick, fast, you know, gaming video stuff, you're just trying to get people into the game, boom, 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 that's okay. Yes, if we're talking film, TV, you know, a produced show, I think it's nicer when you have the B. I agree. I mean, it's nicer. Everybody's going to have a different feeling about that stuff. I think there's great situations for it. And then, you know, sometimes it can also get really annoying. So I'm with you. So let's see how Morph Cut did. Now, let's see if we can do this without rendering. It actually looked like it did something kind of weird to his nose there.
Video, and today we are back. Video, and today we are back.
What happened there? What is that? Hello, Kevin Monahan. You know, friends, it just never ceases to amaze me how I always seem to find weird stuff on stream. It's doing something really weird to his whole body and not doing what I wanted it to do. Let's try it on something else. Let's see how it does on this cut. It needs a very simple background. Yes, but this is locked down and it's only like 3 colors. Let's see. I've definitely had success in this same environment. So let's see. Let's see how it does. Da, 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 da. Waiting for the Jeopardy music. Okay, clearly not doing it. Wow.
Best game ever. You know what it is. Best game ever. You know what it is.
Use that. Sheesh. It is morphing. And Kevin points out that not every cut works, and that is true. I really don't know what's happening here, but we're not going to worry about that for now. Try it yourself. It does work. It can do some nice things. It can also make things look a little like slurry, like it'll actually physically, you know, if you've seen like liquefy effects on a face, sometimes it'll do something like that to the mouth if your head is, you know, more than 2 or 3 inches to the side. Sometimes it can really save the day. I've definitely used it on very tight, close interviews where it can do some amazing stuff. Point is, that's contained in the dissolves. So it's just another option out there. It didn't particularly work well on this shot, but you get the idea, okay? So again, those are kind of the basics. But one of the things that he pointed out was that a lot of his favorite YouTubers use this flash. Now, for all of us who, again, have been editing for a while, that flash to white, it's a little tiresome, but it still works, and it's just kind of a great way, especially if you have multi-angle, to just shift focus without having to rely on B-roll and without having to do just a straight jump cut. So we did this video, he didn't love it, and we wound up revisiting it. We re-recorded on another day. I think he added more blue in his hair that day. And we added multiple cameras, but he went back now. And let's see, is this the... Yeah, so this is just the premiere edit now. He'd gotten a bit better. And added dip to white. So let's take a look here at a little bit of this. Okay.
My first time playing Fortnite. I've played it a bunch of times. And today we're going to be playing...
All right. So you can see we have 3 different angles here.
Not my first time playing Fortnite. I've played it a bunch of times. And today we're going to be playing a couple of duos, creatives, and some solos. Let's go ahead and get right into the game.
Okay, and curiously, he used a little cross dissolve right there. Hey man, he's 8, you know? If you like it, cool. I wouldn't have done that, but kind of neat. But let's talk about this dip to white, this flash to white transition. Now, typically for something like that, you do it with 1 frame of white on either side, so it's real fast. Looks like he's got about, oh, I don't know, 8 or 9 frames. So it kind of feels a little slow, but he's not speaking quickly, so it kind of works. A lot of the ways that you leverage transitions, it's all about timing, right? It's about like timing in the rhythm of the cut. So this kind of works here. He's also 8, so I wasn't going to correct him. I thought it was a good job. But if we do just a single, let's do a single frame of white here. What is it? Shift Option? Yes. So by the way, what I'm doing, what you can see is he must have done this, not even realizing. This is an asymmetrical crossfade, so there's less on the fade out and more on the fade in here. Or is that reversed? If you want to do an asymmetrical dissolve of any kind, hold down Shift and Option, or Shift and... Oh, I guess it's Shift and Option on PC as well. And then this will allow you to independently move each side of the transition. Now, of course, you have to have enough footage at the end of at the A clip and the beginning of the B clip to do this anyway, right? A lot of times people will drop a transition on there and it only shows up on the B clip. There's nothing on the end of the A clip. The reason for that, you don't have anything to transition from on the previous side. So you need to back it up 3, 4, 5 frames and then add that transition. All right. So let's remove this little asymmetrical thing so we can just do a single frame of white on either side. All right. Wind this back.
Times. And today we're going to...
Yeah, see?
A bunch of times. And today we're times. And today...
I like that. I like that single, right? And, you know, there are times where you see multiple uses of this. This is all a stylistic thing. You have to do what you like. Some people really despise this. I think it looks okay if used sparingly. I admit I use it occasionally. All right. There was a period where I used it a lot. We won't talk about that period. All right. But in any case, this is a cool one. It's just another option that you have. And this is in the dissolves. Okay. All right. So those are some of the classic dissolves. Now, the bottom ones here, let's go back to this video. These are what we were talking about before, where these are kind of those classic transitions. You're going to find a lot of these in Rush. Actually, some of the newer ones in Rush are pretty good. You know, these are not, these definitely have a slight cheese factor. And I'll just kind of show you these. You know, you've seen them before. And let's see. We do something like this iris round. All right. And by the way, the application and editing of these is all the same. You can drag and drop. There's also a keyboard shortcut. I think it's Control-D, which adds the default cross dissolve across your cuts. You know, zoom in to adjust duration. It functions the same for all of these. So if we take a look at this iris round.
Please, welcome back to another video, and today we are back.
You know, that's just right at, now it doesn't work so well here because again, it's a lockdown shot. You would normally use this going to a different screen or a different scene altogether, but it's that circular iris transition. You know, it's fine if you like that sort of thing. You know, it's definitely got that slight cheese vibe to it, but that's okay. You know, that's fine. You know, sometimes you need a little cheese. Same with like page peel. I don't need to show you those, right? Do I? Why not? All right. Page peel. Just don't use this. I'll show it to you, but you know, this one's not even good. This is like really awful looking.
Today we are back. Today we are back.
Were those ever cool? Probably. Probably someone said it was. You know, iris page peel, don't recommend those. Slide, those are okay, right? So you have push, slide, split, whip. Those aren't bad. Those are, you know, kind of...
Today we are back.
Those are kind of modern. You sort of see those. Again, this is one where I think a shorter duration so that it happens more quickly.
Today we are back.
That's okay.
We are back.
Right? So this one, of all of those, you kind of see this kind of thing a lot. Look, anytime that you're adding some cool motion blur, it kind of works. Our eyes like that. They do. Oddly enough, in the same way that people have come to kind of just get used to jump cuts. I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here. Kind of blurry transitions, even if it's on a lockdown shot. There's something really pleasant about that. Maybe. Not everybody loves it. But this one, to me, you still see this kind of thing. So that's the whip, all right? We don't have to go through push and slide. You can figure out what all those are. Wipes, I mean, again, you know all of these.
Today we are...
You know, barn door. Again, barn doors, it doesn't really work on this because we're transitioning from the same shot. But it's just, you know, it's just that. It's okay. The other sort of timely, modern-ish one that I think still works is the cross zoom. And this one, again, still kind of, you know, and you can, let's make this one also a little bit shorter. These all come in a little too long for my taste. That's the other thing. Like I talked about rhythm and timing. If you're going to use some kind of a native transition like this, probably better to get it done quickly, especially if it's in like an intro or something like that. Again, if you're transitioning between slower shots, you can always change and elongate. But if you're doing things like a cross zoom or a wipe or a push or a slide or a whip, the faster you can do that, I mean, it's in that same spirit of the jump cut. You're just trying to get it moving, right? And admittedly, when things happen quickly, flash, boom, boom, it does draw people's attention, right? Like it or not, it kind of does. It might anger you, but it draws your attention.
Today we are back.
That was almost too fast. But this one you still kind of see.
Today we are back.
You see that a lot. I see that a lot on, you know, I'm forced to watch a lot of, I say forced to, I have to watch a lot of YouTube videos because you just never know what's in some of those made for kids ones. You know, what was that thing last year? Momo or something, that creepy thing that kept popping up everywhere. That was
we are back.
Super creepy. Anyway, so cross zoom, all right? And these are, again, these are the standard default native transitions. They're inside Premiere. You've got about 16 or 20 variations of these in Premiere Rush. And it's just a really easy way to just do very basic transitioning in lieu of using B-roll. Don't forget that if you don't want to use cross dissolve or film dissolve or any of those things, you know, you can also just keyframe opacity. So like in the case of this first clip here, if I just set a keyframe, by the way, your default is opacity, right? So if I right click on the effects badge here, I'm in, oh, sorry, you can't see that. I'm in opacity. All right, let's go to this first keyframe. Back again, I always look for his audio. His audio starts there, so I could make this last the duration like that.
Hello, guys.
Same thing, right? So same as doing a fade up from black cross dissolve right here. I just did it with an opacity handle. Same concept. Sorry, I was getting a little dad joy right there. Okay. So those are the basic transitions. All right, so let's now get into some light leaks, all right, using video as a transitional element. So these are really common. They've been used forever. You know, if you watch any movies from the 60s and things, you tend to see a lot of those. I think, I don't remember, are they in Rosemary's Baby? I mean, there's all kinds of weird 60s psychedelic effects in movies post-1967, but light leak is just, it's wonderful because, again, it just allows you to more smoothly transition in a kind of, there's a very analog, organic sort of feel to them. The idea is that you kind of want to find the brightest part of the leak All right, I'm going to double click this to bring it into our source monitor here. Kind of want to find the bright spot and then transition between that sort of left and right. So you'll see what I mean here in a sec. So let's see, where's that? So maybe something like this right about here. So that's at 10 seconds. So I'm going to go back. What is this? 24 frames? Yeah, so I'm going to go back here. And let's go back to that. All right. And this is from my old Jace's Places intro. Welcome to Jace's Travel Places. I'm Jason Levine. That's 2015. Look at how ungray my hair was. I had gray highlights. Still a lot of... It's amazing what 6 years will do. This was pre-workout though, so I got a little bit of that pre-workout jaw going on there. We've tightened that up significantly. Okay.
Jason Levine, and today we are in Amsterdam. And you know, this city has an incredibly rich history. Everything from coffee shops to the Rijksmuseum.
Okay. So maybe I want to add, again, I like just the straight cuts, right? So this wouldn't be called jump cuts. These are just straight cuts because we're just cutting between B-roll. I like that. But maybe I just want to add, I don't know, you're actually seeing like natural light leaks and bleed from the camera on some of these shots. So it can kind of work. So I can take this light leak, drag it down. Now again, we may have to adjust the duration. I'm going to set this to the frame size because these are all 4K videos here. And then we're going to go into effects and let's go into something like screen. Okay. Maybe we'll shrink this up. A little. We'll see how this works. Like this.
This city has an incredibly rich history. City has an incredibly rich history. City has an incredibly rich history.
See what I mean? So, you know, there's something kind of nice about that. Hold on, I'm just going to mute the dialogue here. There's something nice about that, and the transition sort of happens right at that really bright spot right there. So because it happens so quickly to your eye, it just like you don't even really see that the shot has changed because you're kind of following the light leak. Maybe that's too bright. Maybe you don't like that. Again, you can also adjust opacity there. You know, you can change the blend mode if you so desire. Oh, sorry, that's wrong one. You can adjust the opacity on this to make it a little less harsh. Maybe we drop that around 80%. All right, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's actually a little bit nicer, so it's not quite, you know, 100% blown out. We can also just adjust the blend mode. That one kind of looks even better, lighten. I kind of like that. Screen gives us back a little more of the shadow detail. Overlay is going to be a little too dark and harsh, but maybe that works. Let's see. Yeah, kinda. It kind of does some nice things to the skies there, again, based on the color of that light leak. But you can imagine how you can start to get creative with these things to really just, again, add some unique color and flavor to them. And I tend to use these, again, if I'm sort of cutting between beauty shots. That's where I tend to use light leaks a lot. Scenery, scenic things, even sometimes between talking if I don't want to use a flash or something else. You could really use anything. Don't forget now, transitions can be anything, right? Probably one of the most common. Now this falls into that same jump cut category. And this is now, I actually saw this in a show, it was Hulu or something. I'm trying to remember what it was. But as a non-TikToker, not that they invented this by any stretch, but you know, you're seeing a lot of this, right? Hand in front of the camera thing. That's legit. That's a transition, right? So it's like, hey, I'm here in the studio. Hand goes over, hand returns, hey, now I'm here outside. It's a transition. It could be whatever you want. Same here. Now, you wouldn't use any blend mode for something like that. You do just the straight cut. It doesn't matter if your hand position is exactly the same because it's blurry in front of the lens of the camera anyway. You can get creative. You could add a light leak or some other color element over top of it to again, kind of smooth out that the change between those two hand cuts. But anything can effectively be a transition if you want it to be. You know, it's basically B-roll, right? And the concept of B-roll is it's just so that you don't see that I started out talking here, but then we cut and I'm over here. That's all. And because at that point, your mind forgets where the person's head was. That's sort of the whole idea. All right. Wellington Oliver, it's time to create a TikTok account. No. I believe it was a friend of mine online who said, maybe it's just not for you. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It just isn't. My kids do it, you know. I can't. I just can't. It would be so cringe. All right, Justin, like throwing a cat at the camera. Sure. Oh, I think they had a few of those in one. You know, maybe it was WandaVision where I saw it. Huh. WandaVision had some really, there's some great editing in there. Love it. Oh, why not, Justin? Yeah, you know, probably not for me. Kev, you should go for it. You should absolutely do it. Okay. All right. So that's just real brief on Light Leaks. Now, that's Light Leak as a graphic that's overlaid and kind of obscuring the two cuts. Here, where, hold on. I had it a second ago. Where did it go? Oh, I'll just put it on here now. I'm forgetting exactly where I was going to use it. But so let me show you a different variation of that. So this is from a series of graphical overlays that I purchased years ago. I've shown them on stream here before. It was a collection called Practical Visual Effects. And here, did I say, is it still on here? Oh yeah, it's here. It was just hidden away. Okay. So these are a series of, I'll zoom in so you can see them. There's all kinds of things here. You can see there's speed lights, soft light overlays, hard light overlays. So there's all kinds of different types of overlays and transitional things here. These are speed lights. And if you take a look as I hover scrub over them, so this is just light over a black background here. Okay. And this can be used again for transitions just because that speed light is going to very quickly force your eye to change focus on the subject. So it's nothing fancy. It's not even taking over the whole screen. It's just doing something to, again, create this really smooth movement between, you know, this scene and the next scene. In this case, it's me talking both times. So here I have this little speed light. All right. And if we select this here, you'll see that once again, I'm using the screen blend mode. Most often I use those if I'm using, again, some kind of an overlay. But this one, so the first thing you're going to look. So the first thing you're, all right. Now, if you turn it off, and if let's say we didn't have it. So the first thing you're going to notice, let's take a look. So the first thing you're going to notice, I mean, it's not bad when you launch from your, see what I mean about stop frames? They're just never good. Ah! Turn it back on. Let's take a look. So the first thing you're going to notice, it somehow it feels like it was from the same cut like that because my eye is going, it's paying attention to that. And that's white. If I used one of these, like, oh, this is actually even cooler. Let's bring this one in here. I like this one. I keep having to readjust my view so I can see what I'm doing here. All right. Let's do this, and I'll shrink this duration-wise. Let's turn that off and screen it. Okay. Oh, look at that. Let's take a look. So the first thing you're going to know, you're going to get for this. So the first thing, see, that one wasn't quite fast enough, right? It didn't quite speed light, but the duration, the light moving wasn't fast enough. Now, I have been known to time remap something like this. So let's say you love it, but it's just not fast enough. Let's go ahead and here, I'll make this track a little bigger so we can do this. Let's click on the badge, time remapping speed. We get this little speed handle, and let's increase it by like 150, 160%, maybe even a little more. That's probably okay. All right, something like this. Wind it back. Let's take a look. So the first thing you're going to notice. So the first thing you're going to notice when you. Okay. So we just time remapped it, sped it up so that it kind of just fit the rhythm of that a little bit better. Really simple. Okay. So again, that's just using light or video overlays with blend modes to do transitions, right? These are great, and you know, I use this Pve Collection. I think I bought this in 2012, so it's 9 years old. This was from Rampant Design, and bought this back in the days. I'm trying to remember Kane and Flowers. Remember Kane and Flowers used to do this practical visual effects thing with Rampant Design, and it was fantastic. It was great stuff, and they're still great. And they were all like 2K. Back when 1080 was the standard, so they're not 4K, but they can rescale and resize, and they still look wonderful. Okay. All right. Now I see we're talking a lot about sounds in transitions, and that's perfect because we're going to go there right now. So let's just go back to this one here for a second, and I got to see. Yeah, I think I have that on here. Okay. So talking about MOGRTs. All right. So now, again, when my young one here was editing in Rush, he at one point said, well, he didn't say transition. He's like, I need something that's going to cover up when I go to my editing screen. I said, okay. So I showed him MOGRTs in Rush, and he immediately started to find, he went to transitions and found one. And here's one that he really liked.
Right into the game. Right, so here is Aquaman. Right into the game. Right, so here is Aquaman.
Okay. Now, that works
right
nicely as a graphic, okay? And when he kind of colored it against the Aquaman colors in the game. Remember, this is a MOGRT, so if I select it here and I go into the Essential Graphics panel, based on what the editor gave me options to modify, okay, I can change, you know, the color of these various rectangles. This is exactly what we did. This looks like this was a Premiere authored motion graphics template. It also has the in and out of that animation preserved. So it's a responsive MOGRT, meaning that if we drag this out 10 more seconds, it still has the same out duration at the end there. So you can see that. So this is a responsive Premiere created MOGRT, but there's no sound. So it's a little dry.
The game. Right, so here is Aquaman.
All right. So he said to me, he's like, well, can we do this with sound? I said, well, what do you want? And my first thought was like, you want some kind of a whoosh, right? Explosion, something. He's like, no, I want a harp. That's where he was at. Maybe Aquaman, I don't know, underwater, harp music. I don't know, it's my kid. So we used the same transition when we revisited, but this time we added the audio. So take a listen to this and see how it is. It's just there's something fundamentally different about this that makes it really work really nicely.
Start playing solo. Here we are.
Okay. So it's the same graphic. We modified the colors a little bit differently here, but that little harp glissando.
Solo. Here we are.
It just really makes a difference, right? Something really, really nice and pleasant about that. So using audio to go along with your visual. Now again, for a light leak, because that's more about blending to obscure the edit, not necessary. But here where we're transitioning from full on camera to something like this, it kind of makes sense to have that audio transition. It just feels right. Otherwise it feels like something's missing, right? Maybe it doesn't feel like something's missing if you don't know, but the more that you watch these kind of things, you'll start to see. Now, I told you, this is a motion graphics template. So if we go up to Essential Graphics and we go to Adobe Stock, tap Free, if you're looking for free ones, and type Transitions, all right? This is now going to pull up a whole series of different ones. You can see some of the licensed ones I have here. If you hover, scrub over again, it'll show you what this looks like. Same kind of concept, right? Just, you know, horizontally moving bands of color. This one has multiple variations. Really, really nice. Here's another one, Liquid Gradient. Oh, I haven't seen this one before. What does this one look like? Oh yeah, that's sort of cool. All right. These are free, by the way. These are all the free ones here. Here's another one, Sweeping Arrows. I mean, you're kind of sensing a theme, right? But you see these in a ton of commercials. They're just graphical overlays, optimized for Rush in this case. But all of these things here, here's another one, Camera Flashes. Again, this kind of takes that sort of the light style. Oh, that one's a little cheesy. You can tell that's totally generated. It's not real, but that's okay. You know, these are really, really cool. Here's another one, Stripes. Okay. And as I'm hovering, it's showing you some of the various options that you have and different variations. A lot of these, you'll get multiple styles within a single one here. Okay, here's a deep underwater transition. Here's, what is this? Cascading hexagons. Yeah, these are cool, right? So I highly recommend checking out the Essential Graphics panel in Adobe Stock. These are just the free ones. If you search on free and premium, now you can see, first of all, you've got like 59 pages worth of stuff. There are some really amazing transitional elements in here. All right. And again, depending upon what it is you're looking for, I mean, a lot of these, many of the paid ones have been created like this one clear. This looks very After Effects, right? But wow, I mean, it's just, there's something really beautiful, like bokeh, exploding smoke in different shapes and variations. Can totally see how you might use that. Maybe not for a corporate video presentation, or maybe for a corporate video presentation. Kind of depends on what sort of corporation you work for. You know, you're going to find a lot of these glitch transitions. I wonder, tell me in the chat, do you think the glitch thing, and again, sound design, very important for glitch. Do you think we're played out on that, or is that still cool and timely? We have a lot of very cool glitch titles as well. I still occasionally use them. I like them. Oh, this one's really cool. There's some neat stuff. See, and as you hover scrub, it's just showing you, again, just some of the variations. This stuff is cool. Change the colors without grid options. Change the duration. Adjust glow. Use as matte. Yeah, there's cool stuff in here. All right. Now, this is a premium one. But, you know, it's pretty sweet. And someone spent a lot of time authoring that. So I would highly recommend checking it out. Glitch is still hot. Glitches get stitches. Mike. Yes, there is also Adobe Stock free, as Kevin points out. So stock.adobe.com/free, you can find, I believe, I don't know, I imagine we've upped it since, but it's at a minimum 50,000 assets, graphics, vectors, video, and more. Stock.adobe.com/free. Okay. All right. So that's classic transitions, light leaks, MOGRTs as graphical elements, and last but not least, showcasing some third-party ones. So again, you know, depending upon the type of stuff that you're doing, you may want to, you know, just kind of up your editing game and just add something a little more spicy than the classic spiral zoom or film dissolve or whatever. And there are tons of companies out there that make really nice looking graphical animated transition packs. So this one happens to come from a company called Vamify. I just really like these. Again, this is not a sponsored anything. I just like them. I bought them a while ago. The pack comes with several hundred different transitions, and they're just really cool. And again, they look super modern, you know, and if you're looking for something a little bit different, maybe this is it for you. So here you can see just some of the main categories. So we have glitch, and then you have like glitch effects, glitch punk. Oh, I didn't even see that. Glitch, TV noise effects. A lot of, I guess glitch is definitely still cool. Panoramic, perspective, stretch, and then you have all these types of, you know, stretch in, stretch out, RGB stuff. These are really cool, and they'll have it in all the various directions, up, down, left, right, fast, smooth, etc. Warp styles, So those are some of the ones I was going to show you now. Warp with light, warp RGB, and then zoom. And these are, again, super classic. Lens zoom, elastic zoom, power zoom. Here, maybe we'll open this one up too. Lens zoom RGB. Let me dock this up here as well. All right, so let's start first with warp. Okay, so here are some of the warp effects. So I want to use this. Let's just see here. Let's get rid of these. Actually, I don't need to get rid of them. We're going to use this in that same transition here. World, let's take a look. So the first thing you're going to notice, okay, so we're going to place that right about here approximately. Okay, so if we come over to our panel here and start looking at these, this is showing you what these warp effects look like. All right. So there's one that's kind of camera move to the left, kind of like that. Those first two are, this is camera move to the right. This is like a more extreme move. More extreme, so I've got a lot of left and right here. Here's another one coming in from the right. All right, very cool. I kind of like this coming in from the right. Although I think this one will probably work better for this particular shot. So maybe let's go with this one. So the way that these work is these are actually pre-created projects. You import the project, these things come in. You can see this is a sequence here. And I can go ahead and bring this in, all right, into my timeline down here. Now, typically these add, they always have the not always, but many of them have the reference video in there. So that's why you're seeing that bird. That's this little purple clip that you see right here. So let's just go ahead and get rid of that. Take that out of there. Wind this back. Now again, these you may need to render this real quickly, so let's just do that real fast. What's also cool about these though is that they will, most of them I believe, if not all, have an audio element attached to it as well. Okay, super fast render. Anywhere in the world, let's take a look. So the first thing you're going, all right, simple. Everyone, anywhere in the world, let's take a look. So the first thing you're going to notice when you launch Premiere Pro is, okay, anywhere in the world, let's take a look. So the first thing you're going to notice when you just can't get lucky with that stop frame. Okay, so really cool, really easy to use, simple to configure. Let's go into those other ones. What do we say? Lens, zoom, RGB. Let's take a look at these. All right. What do these look like? Let's make them bigger. Smooth in rotation, hard in rotation fast, smooth in left rotation, hard in. Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. Hard in fast. Let's do this hard in right rotation fast. I like that. All right, we're going to go with that one. Hard in right rotation fast. Okay, so let's go ahead and drag this. All right. Again, it has that reference video in there. So the first thing you're going to notice, take a look. So the first thing you're going to notice, let's take a look. So the first thing you're going to notice, not quite as dramatic on this particular shot, but again, it's just a variation. And there's other variations there. Maybe it was maybe we shouldn't have used the hard, fast one. Use the soft, slow one. Lots of variations there, but it's drag and drop. Super easy to use. Again, I think this pack is like 49 US bucks. You get around 400 or 500 transitions. It's just building up your library of stuff. That coupled with any kind of B-roll. Remember, you want a light leak, but you don't want to buy a light leak pack. You know, get a flashlight in the dark and start shooting and do some weird stuff with colored light. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're just using it as a transitional element, and then combined with blend modes, stack multiple things together. You know, you can create those same kind of things manually really, really easily. And it doesn't take much to do that. So that really covers everything today. We talked about classic transitions, like cross dissolves. If you can't resolve it, dissolve it. Additive dissolve, film dissolve, wipes, zooms. Do we do splits? No. Light leaks, MOGRTs, graphical transitions, and then third-party edited graphical transitions that, again, just bring a little different kind of feeling and vibe and color and movement to your video. So definitely check these out. Of course, you'll be able to watch the replay if you missed any of this. I always say start first with the native ones that we have. And like we talked about before, there's a couple in there that are still pretty decent. Cross zoom, I think, is still okay. You know, you can still get along with that. And just like a classic wipe still sort of works. You know, when in doubt, straight cuts. And, you know, if you're trying to get a new gig on YouTube, jump cut, without a doubt. All right. I'm going to get slapped in the chat for that now. All right, my friends. That's it. Let's just check out and see if we've got any last minute comments here before I'm off. A lot of comments here. Today, this stream reminds me of dancing and making the needle skip all over the turntable. Christine, I don't quite know what you mean by that, but I'm with you. Sure, why not? Okay. Sometimes YouTubers go overboard with the transitions. Yes. Oh, and that's a final point to make. Remember, if you're going to use transitions, stick with 1 or 2, not 10. Keep them consistent. Your audience will thank you for it. Until next time, friends, have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you again next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.